Hello, 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 and welcome to the show, the big show. I'm your
What's
host, Edo
good?
Rivera. I'm here with Latrell Golden and Mr. David Henderson, two big time Packer fans. Actually, three big time Packer fans. And you want to know something, fellas? You want to know something, fellas? We say the best for last in the NFC North because we are previewing the champs, baby. The champs. Everybody go before I start the show. Everybody go click share and like the podcast. And if you're looking for consistent content, Prime Sports World is the place to be. We go live 5 to 6 times a week. But anyways, everybody, what's going on? And also, I dropped the link in the comment section. So it's been up there for about 8 minutes. So if anybody else wants to join in any of the groups that I shared it in, go ahead and feel free to join. I will add you to the stream. But anyways, fellas, let's get ready. Let's get the show going, man. How you guys feeling? How you guys feeling about the Packers before we get this before we get everything rolling here?
Well, I'm feeling good. I'm seeing a lot of new updates going on about the Packers and tie-ins and much over, but I'm good. I'm good to go.
I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous about the receiving core, but I'm confident that Aaron Rodgers and the offense is going to do their job and do what they have to do because, the Packers, live and die by number 12. We all know that that's the guy that we got to rely on first and foremost. And we got guys around them. We just got guys that have to step it up. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the receivers and who's going to step it up in order to make this a real good season this year. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting year.
Yeah, I think my take on the Packers is, yes, that is probably the biggest concern of mine is the wide receiving core. We got guys that are injury prone, some older guys, and mixed with some younger guys, right? And I feel like if anybody can work with this bunch, it's 12, right? 12 can
hmm
work with this bunch. I think 12 is a guy that can maximize the potential out of everybody here. I think last year we all saw that Devonte Adams at some points was force fed the ball, and rightfully so because nobody else in the wide receiver core was consistent. Now we're getting Big Bob Tanyan back, Big Bob.
Yes,
We're getting Big
love
Bob
it.
back, and
Oh,
uh,
Big
and,
Bob.
and we're adding the young fella. So we'll get right into it. We'll talk about their offense and how things are going to shake this year. But on the agenda, is this starting with the storyline? Is this the most important season for Aaron Rodgers in his career? I'll start with Latrell.
Right now, it's definitely is. It's very important to get the receiver core getting going, get the young guys to learn from Aaron Rodgers as well. Aaron Rodgers learn from his receiver core. Once they work together, it's going to take progress. It's the same situation what comes with on the defense side of the ball when it just takes progress and get to know each other. Once they fill them out, the relationship is going to get better and it's going to continue the progress.
What about you, Dave?
I say yes. I believe Aaron came back for a reason. Everybody speculated, will he or won't he come back to Green Bay? Will he be a Packer in 2022? Yes, obviously he mend fences with Goot. He mend fences with the organization, and whatever issue he had, he decided, you know what, it's worth coming back to the Green Bay Packers and be the Packers quarterback for another few years. So I think Aaron's got to show now. Okay, I don't want to be one dimensional now. I can't be just throwing the one receiver. I can't do what I did before. Devonte was a great receiver. Nobody's saying differently, but it's pretty important that you got a really good quarterback behind center. Aaron was one of the best, is one of the best, and will be one of the best. So Aaron's got to go out there and he's got to show leadership. He's got to show Christian Watson. He's got to show even Sammy Watkins, who's been around the league for a number of years. Hey, you're playing with you're playing a whole different ball game. You're playing with Aaron Rodgers. I'm the leader of this team, but I'm going to show you by example. And there's going to be some growing pains. Christian will drop passes, and we'll get into that. Other receivers will drop passes, or we'll have ups and downs during the season or during the quarters. During a quarter, or two, three, four, whatever. That's when he's got to show, hey, okay, I'm the leader. I'm going to lift us on our back, and I'm going to show you how to lead. Pull a guy aside and say, Christian, okay, you dropped that pass. Make the next one. Make the next one. That's what you got to do. You got to go out there and you got to show you're going to lead this team, and it's going to determine how those receivers develop, and it's going to determine the Packers 2022 season. We'll see. We will see.
Yeah, this recent offseason, Rodgers signed a 3-year extension worth $150 million, and pretty much every year's it's an option, so all the money's pretty much guaranteed, in a way. But he has an option, right, on those last 3 years. After these next 2 years. So by the time he's done with the contract, he should be 43, 44. And we've seen quarterbacks play well into we see Tom Brady, right? Play well into his early 40s, right? So I think that's the consensus. I think this was probably, I think that contract gives Rodgers some wiggle room by the time, if things aren't clicking after, these next 2 years, because I think the Packers have a championship window of 2 years right here. I think, year 3 or 4, I think in 2024, I think in the contract, if he declines the 2023, 2024 contract, it converts to a base salary for that year into the bonus figure, which is $47 million, respectively. So, he has some options, right? Rodgers, if he wants to, kind of look somewhere else in the later stages of his career, if he wants to win that ring. But I think he has made a commitment to the Packers. You guys are right. And I think that, he made that deal so Devonte Adams could make his money, and Devonte, wanted to go play with his buddy, right? So, that's pretty much the gist on what I take out of it. I think this is an important part in his career because he doesn't have many of these left, right? He doesn't have many years where he's gonna have, a championship window like this with a good defense. We'll get to the defense too, by the way. Where he has a good defense, he has a good offensive line, he has good running backs, right? But he has to work with his wide receivers a little bit. And so I think the development of Christian Watson will be big here. I think we need some guys to stay healthy, like Watkins, and we need Lazard to stay healthy and Cobb to stay healthy, And then I don't know what Amari Rodgers, we talk about it a lot. We don't know what Amari Rodgers is going to be. He's more of a special teams guy, but he may not be the guy. I think if the kid from Nevada, and we brought Rick Riaccio over from the Raiders, who is the interim coach. He's a special teams ace. He should really improve that special teams because that's what's been an Achilles heel of ours, right? The special teams, in the past few years, especially in the playoffs. So he should really improve that special teams. And if the kid from Nevada, outplays Rodgers, Amari Rodgers, we could see Amari Rodgers maybe being, cut or not, playing for the Packers this past year. So I think it's not the most important, but it's an important part. I think we have a championship window, 2 years, right, 2 to 3 years right here, where he can really make it. And then after that, if they don't win one or win two, I could see a scenario where Rodgers leaves the Packers to go to a championship contender. Speaking of the wide receivers, who is going to step it up after, to replace Devonte Adams after he's left? I'll start with you, Latrell. Who do you think is the wide receiver to step it up this year to replace Devonte Adams' production? Or will it be a collective group?
Ooh, that is tough. That is a tough question. Jeez. Receiver, I'll actually think about it. And I think it's going to be Sammy Watson. Sammy Watson is going to have to step up. Yeah, because he's proven, he said, okay, I've been injured. I've been had this issue when I haven't stayed on the field. but I don't think I'm proven to be force to be reckoned with. So Sammy Watkins would be the best choice for the Green Bay Packers.
What about you, David?
Well, this is easy for me, and I'm looking at it. I was looking at some stats. Alan Lazard, and here's why. Before Lazard's injury, he has improved in every statistical category since he entered the league. I'm talking receptions, yards per yards per catch, everything. And then he got kind of derailed with injury. If you look at Alan Lazard's the number of games he's played, he's been banged up here and there, and he is one of the guys like Sammy, who's had some bad luck, and then he had the core injury, and that was just really bad luck. And I think if not for the injury last year, I saw him as a possible 1,000-yard receiver. I think Lazard can get there, but it's a matter of can he stay healthy and will he still have that drive like he did before he left or before he got injured, excuse me, to be that number one, to say, I want to be that number one. Because right now, you got a collective right now. And I'm not going to claim him as the number one. If I were the Green Bay Packers, it'd be a collection of guys. Sammy Watkins, him, of course. Some of the rookies might be in the fight, but I don't think Christian's going to get it yet. I think Christian's going to have to take a year where he learns behind like Cobb and those guys. But I think Lazard could be that guy. I just think Lazard has to stay healthy. He can't play 13 games 30 years. He played 13 games last year. I think he came back a little too early, and they rushed him because he wanted to come back. And I don't think he was ready. And to be honest, I think it hurt him a lot more than helped him. So I think Allen right now would be who I would hope he would become that number one. I'm like you, Izzy. I don't believe, Amari Rodgers. He's I don't know. He's just not stepping up. He's just kind of been so, and I'm not really sold on him. Maybe he'll surprise us, but I'm not sold on him yet. And he's got to really go and prove it, because I think there's a couple of receivers on this roster, and I think we'll all agree that they're kind of on the cusp of that edge of, okay, are you going to have a job next year? Like, Juwan Winfrey and those guys, they're kind of on that cusp of, okay, we're filling up this roster with a lot of receivers. There ain't going to be a lot of roster spots. You're going to have your main receivers, and then you're going to have kick, punt, return. And if you're not good enough, you're out. So I'm hoping it's Alan Lazard. I hope Lazard can improve, because he had 513 yards last year in 13 games and 8 touchdowns.
Yeah. So my take on that is you're not going to be able to replace a guy that last year had 123 receptions, over 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns. You're not going to do that. And then the year prior, he had 115 receptions, 1,300 yards and 18 touchdowns. You're not going to replace that. That's hard. Devonte Adams is probably the best wide receiver in the NFL when it comes to speed, size, separation, catching ability, the ability his footwork, the ability to get off the line. He's lethal. So I think that none of those guys are gonna be able to replace him. Not one, but it's gonna be, in my opinion, it's gonna be a collective group of guys. I like to look at it as, maybe this is a bad example. Remember when we won the Super Bowl? We had guys like Jordy, we had James Jones, we had Greg Jennings. I don't know. Was Donald Driver on the team? I don't know if Donald.
Yeah, he was on the team. Donald Driver was definitely on the team.
He was a vet by then.
Anyway, we had a collective of guys, and there wasn't really one guy that really separated himself from the pack in that year. As really a guy that was a number one guy. Jordy Nelson after the fact, Greg Jennings, Greg Jennings, I think, was probably the number one receiver, but Jordy Nelson was coming into his own, after the fact, when they won the Super Bowl. I think, he was an up and coming guy, but, he wasn't, and I'm looking up his stats right now, in Green Bay when they won a title. Jordy Nelson that year wasn't a full-time starter. He only started 4 games. He had 582 yards. The very next season, Jordy Nelson has over 1,200 yards, right? And 15 touchdowns. And the year after that, he got banged up, 745. Then the year after that, 3 years in a row, he had over 1,200 yards receiving every year, right? Except for 15, he was out the whole year. But, like I said, just going back on that, I mean, I think it's going to be a collective. Like I said, I think, you got Bob Tonyan coming back, who was, he's got to prove himself, right? He had the injury. Then he's got to prove himself that it wasn't just a 1-year wonder. We see that a lot with tight ends. I think Aaron Jones is going to be big in the passing game. I think he's going to be utilized a lot in the passing game. I think A.J. Dillon's going to have more of a role running the football. Aaron Jones is going to have more of that. I think A.J. Dillon I think Dillon might get more carries than Jones, but I think Jones might see more action in terms of passing downs. You know what I mean? Jones will be in there for the passing downs because he's just such a good receiver out the backfield. We can't really look upon Cobb and think he's going to turn back into his 2010 self. Forget about Cobb. He was on the Super Bowl team too. We can't look, about Cobb and be like, oh, he's going to turn back into his 2010, 2011, 2012 self. Cobb is a guy, he's old. He's up there in years, right? Mid-30s. So we gotta kind of pump the brakes on catching lightning in the bottle with Cobb. But I think if he stays healthy, he's got that rapport with Rodgers. Lazard got the rapport with Rodgers. Sammy Watkins, people forget. I mean, every time he plays the NFC North, and I think this is why this is a big get for them. And I said this from the get-go. I think Sammy Watkins plays well against the Vikings. He plays well against the Lions. He plays well against the NFC North teams. Against the Bears, he plays well. So I think he's got comfortability, against those teams, against those schemes. He's comfortable. But I think he's a guy that he needs to stay healthy. And then we can't really depend on a rookie who, by the way, was the second highest picked wide receiver in the draft. Next to Javon Walker, for the Packers in the last some-odd years or whatever the case is. So. We can't expect the rookie to kind of hit that learning curve. Devonte Adams didn't do it. No rookie has really done. But we have seen rookies do it. We've seen the kid in Cincinnati, Jamar Chase, do it. We've seen Justin Jefferson have a great rookie year. We've seen guys come in straight into the league and flourish at the first year. But I think it's going to be a collective of guys. I think we're going to rely a lot on the run game, play action pass. Get it out to Jones. Get it out to Tonyan. Lazard's going to, be good over the middle. He's, over the seam in the middle. The one thing that I don't like is that we don't have that speedster, to really cut up in the seams and kind of open the top of the defense. That's the one thing that does concern me about the Packers.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I like Dobbs. I think Dobbs is young yet, but I mean, I think the good thing about having he's fast and so is Christian. Christian, I think, ran a 4.3. So I mean, I think with them, I think it's more of a less. They're going to be kind of guys that are going to make the obvious easy catches, but I don't think they're going to be ready to make the big plays all the time, constantly, consistently. I think with them, you have to kind of wait on it. I think can they have a good season? Yes, but should we expect them to kind of have the 1,000 yards, 10, 15 touchdowns? No, because I think there's still a learning curve. They're still gonna. I think Christian probably has a bigger learning curve than Dobbs because I think Dobbs is a little bit more ready. But I think Christian is raw talent. It's just a matter of when can he actually take the jump, And the guys, as you mentioned, It took them a while. It took Donald Driver a while to take the jump. It took James Jones a while to take the jump, and Greg Jennings and Jordy Nelson to take the jump. So, they have to get used to the system. They got to get used to Aaron because Aaron throws one hell of a fastball. I mean, he's throwing that football, distance, and he's throwing it hard at their
He's
hands.
throwing it.
So,
He's throwing it. Far and accurate. That's Rodgers right there for you. And Christian Watson, good thing we brought him up. I mean, 6'5", 208, real fast kid. I think he that one year where I don't think they played much because of COVID. He had that one year, but I mean the kid, 7 touchdowns last year. In 12 games played, 800 yards. I mean he's a big play guy. Yards per catch is on average 20.4. So he's a guy that has a lot of potential. Christian Watson does for us. But moving forward, do you think? Let me ask this question: do you guys think this is going to be a top 10? This was a top 10 offense in yards per game last year. Is this going to be a top 10 offense next year?
I would say next year, it's definitely a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. It all depends on Matt LaFleur, how he do with this system, as well our quarterback Aaron Rodgers and the offensive line. And we do have the matter of fact, speaking wide receivers, we do have the best offensive line last year, this year, and probably years to come. So it's definitely a possibility.
I'm gonna disagree. I don't think we have. I think we have a very good offense. I think we have a top 5 offensive line, top 7 unit, in my opinion. I think the Indianapolis Colts takes the cake on being the best O-line in football, but we're up there. Latrell, you're not off. We have a good offensive line. It's probably top 4, top 5. What about you, Dave? You think we're going to be a top 10 offense next year?
Next year?
Yeah, or this coming up season. Yeah, next year.
This upcoming season, no, but I think Green Bay is going to kind of be on that cusp of hanging around kind of towards the top, maybe, 13, 12. They're not going to get there yet. The advantage is kind of like what Charles said, we have a really good offensive line. Last year we were according to PFF, and I know a lot of people don't go PFF. They don't like Pro Football Focus, but we were 14th last year in offensive line, and this is without Bach. Okay, this is without two of our offensive linemen, Jenkins and Bakhtiari. So we could be a really, really good line, solid line this year. Plus, yards per carry, I think Jones is up there in the top 10. So we have a great, solid running game. It's going to be a matter of now. I'm kind of thinking, what are we going to really be this year? Are we going to kind of have to focus more on the run to kind of help that passing game and try to put a lot more pressure on Jones and Dylan? Or are we just going to kind of go same old, and just go, okay, we'll just see how these receivers do? Because, throw them into the fire or kind of play it a little safe. And I know people hate that word, but these receivers, some of them are, there's a lot of there's a couple of rookie receivers, and then we got guys like Sammy hasn't played a full season in like 4 or 5 years. We had Lazard was injured last year, and then from there we have Cobb who's older and some guys that haven't established themselves. It's going to be interesting to see how this offense is going to kind of be. Is it going to be different starting the gate, or is it going to be kind of the same where we just throw them into the fire and just kind of see what these guys have?
And you good point. You brought up Jones. I mean, Aaron Jones last year was 4.6. So on his career, Aaron Jones has been a 5 yards a pop guy. Yeah, he's been the guy get into the seam, stretch it out. Last year, he missed a couple games, so he didn't quite hit that 1,000 yard mark or get close to it. He was close. I mean, he was at 799 in rushing. But AJ Dillon, led the team in rushing by a few yards, about 4 yards. He had more yards on the ground than him, but he had more attempts because he played to fill in for him, right? And so Aaron
Yeah, and
Jones
how
had
about
52
this?
receptions. Yeah, Aaron Jones had 52 receptions last year. So look, like I said, and 6 receiving touchdowns. Like I said, he's going to be big in the passing game this year, even more big. I mean, think about how the Saints use Alvin Kamara. That's how they're going to use Aaron Jones this season, in my opinion. But I think you got the luxury of handing it off to A.J. Dillon, who's just only going to get better, as his career progresses, as the season progresses. So I think we got 2 really good running backs that are scary, along with an offensive line. I like that you brought up that point about Aaron Jones. Anyways, moving forward, I raved about the defensive unit. How good can the Packers defense be? Last year they were top 10. They were number 9 in yards per game allowed. They were number 3 in the NFL at plus 13 in turnover differential. And, there were some concerns. There are some concerns this year about the pass rush, right? They were 15th. They were middle of the pack last year in sacks. And that's without having Zadarius Smith last year, pretty much all season. You didn't have Zadarius Smith at all last season. So you worked with only, Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary, who's, like I said, everybody used to call him Trash Can Gary. He's going to be a bust. He didn't do anything at Michigan. But the kid only continues to get better every single season that he's been in the NFL. He was, top 10 and quarterback pressures like the last couple years in a row. He averaged, I believe, Rashawn Gary. What did he have? I think he averaged double-digit sacks last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe he did.
He did.
Yeah, he did have double-digit sacks. Oh, no, he was close to it. He had 9.5 sacks last year, and then the year prior he had 5. That was the second year. So he's gotten better as his career's gone. I only expect Rashawn Gary to get even better than that this season. I expect Rashawn Gary to get 15 sacks this season, 15 plus sacks this season. I think that's the number for Rashawn Gary. I mean, he's a massive human being. He's got all the intangibles. But when I look at the defense, guys, let me just go through this with you here. Dean Lowry, veteran, came back. Kenny Clark, veteran run stopper. We know what Kenny Clark brings to the table. But also, you add Jaron Reed, who's a big boy, big old Alabama boy. You got him in free agency from KC, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Not to mention he's a working horse.
Yeah, he's a working horse, right? And then backing those guys up, you still got big boy from Florida that you drafted, TJ Slayton, in the later rounds.
Yep.
And then
you
got your second first round pick from the second best DT next to his teammate in Jordan Davis, and that's Devonte Wyatt from Georgia. So you add him to the mix. I think we could stop the run a lot better. We're going to be more efficient against the run this year. And then obviously we got Preston Smith, we got Rashawn Gary. I'm really concerned about the depth behind the pass rush, behind those 2 guys. That's the only thing I'll have to say. We'll have to see what the late round pick Kingsley and Barry will be like. But when I look at the inside linebackers, obviously Devondre Campbell got paid. He's the top 10 inside linebacker in the NFL, period, hands down. And then we add, and I was real critical about Quay Walker. I really loved his teammate better. But when I look at Quay Walker, big kid, 6'4", 6'5", sideline to sideline, rarely misses the tackle, very point of attack. He's probably one of the better. I mean, this is a total upgrade from what we are used to seeing with like Blake Martinez and Christian Kirksey, from previous years. Those 2 inside linebackers, right? So when I look at the front 7, I'm like, automatically we have a better front 7 than we've had in years, right? In terms of depth, in terms of potential. And then here's where it gets really good. The secondary, right? I'm calling it a no-fly zone this season.
Let me say something, Izzy.
Go ahead.
Last year they were 10th in pass defense, and they were 11th in rush defense. Now 10th in pass defense, and this was without Jair Alexander for most of the season. So Jair Alexander was out for most of the season. We were 10th. Okay, like you said, and then you add all the other stuff into it. We were loving the rush defense, and you added those two young boys from Georgia, the two youngins from Georgia. We got to see how the kid from Miami that we drafted last year. We got to see how he does. If he could take a step forward, and then the kid that we got from Georgia, the linebacker we got, Wyatt. He was
Oh,
described
you mean
as
Quay
a
Walker? Quay Walker.
Quay Walker, excuse me, was described as a younger version of the linebacker we already got on our team.
Yeah, Devondre Campbell. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So he's a younger version of him, and Campbell came in and came out of nowhere and stepped in, and everybody was going, well, did we actually solve our linebacker spot? Because the problem we've always had was we get a linebacker, and the linebacker was great side to side tackling, and we know you just mentioned Blake Martinez, great side to side tackling guy, but horrible in pass coverage, horrible when he needed to be, when he needed to step
When you
back.
need to fill in
And,
holes against the run
yep,
defense.
and that too, and it was like finally we got this guy now. So now you add that, and the defensive line we still need more. I think we need to see who can step up in depth wise. But we could be a lot better this year, and we weren't that bad in total defense. We were 13 in total defense last year, and we were missing some guys. We had some key injuries, but we still had guys that stepped up, guys that I didn't expect to step up
The
last
guys,
year.
the guys that I didn't expect to step up is Russell Douglas, the man who came from the Arizona Cardinals, just a practice squad, just a
Yep.
guy who's been through with multiple different teams. When he has his name being called, he showed he was forced being reckoned with. When Jair was on the vacation, I like to call on the vacation, the whole thing. Russell Douglas take from action, come with the interceptions, show he ain't played no games around here, showing that they ain't easy to go on that pass alignment. As well, Eric Stokes did a wonderful job against any
Yeah.
quarterback, including Big Ben, which is a veteran, elite quarterback. So that shows a
Mm-hmm.
lot of promise that, hey, this defense is covered.
And
No
Keelan
problem.
Kiki, whoever expected, like, I was sitting there going, where did he come from? Finally, he decided to go, maybe I'm going to step up and have a good season. So if we can, if that depth behind us can stay solidify and stay, do really well and be consistent, and those young guys, like the kid from Miami who we got last year, if he can step up his second year, Ford, I think it was Ford. If he could step up his second year, and then the guys we have come in, step in, we're really possibly going to be a top 10 defense, maybe even higher.
Oh
Because
yeah,
those Georgia boys.
Jonathan Ford. Yeah, that was our first round. I think that was one of our picks this year. Was Jonathan Ford? He was the
Sorry
kid.
that.
He's the defensive tackle from Miami. The kid you're talking about, T.J. Slayton is from Florida. We
Yeah,
kind of
Slayton,
a
Slayton.
little bit, but no, I just to piggyback off of what you guys were saying. Like I said, I'm calling it no fly zone. I mean, you got Amos, Savage back there at the safeties. It don't get much better than that. I mean, they're not the best tandem in the NFL. There's some really good ones out there, but they're up there. I would say they're in the top 10 and in terms
Well,
of
they
safety
could
play.
be. And I mean, if Stokes continues to get better,
Better. And it
we're
was
good.
good, David. It was good that Jair Alexander was out last season,
Yep.
in my opinion, because Stokes got the reps. Stokes was able to go against the number one guys last year, and so he's got that experience. And he didn't play. He didn't play so bad. Stokes held his own against some of the good wide receivers, that he went up against last season, and he got the reps. So you just add him to the mix. You add Jair Alexander, who's probably the best corner in the league when he's healthy. And then you add Rasul Douglas, who is a ball hawk at the nickel corner, who's an
Yep.
absolute upgrade from Kevin King. I mean, I'm so glad that we didn't re-sign Kevin King and give
Oh
him a courtesy
God,
call.
Kevin
Thank you,
King,
thank
Kevin
you,
King.
Goots. Thank you, Goots, for
Let me
not bringing Kevin King back. And so when I look at this defense, I think this is the potential to be a top 5 defense next year.
let
In
me
my
say
opinion.
this: Kevin King
Damn.
could be dropped off in the Sahara Desert and buried head first. I don't give two you know what's about him. I hate Kevin King because Kevin King was so inconsistent. Now, the Rasul Douglas thing, that like Latrell said, that surprised me, but I was like happy surprised because he was coming in like you said at the nickel, and he was phenomenal. Like I mean,
Mhm.
the one thing about I love about the Packers, and we've done this in the past, is we've always had guys that were like and I'm going to bring up a name from the past, a Sam Shields type of guy, where you go, who the hell is that guy? Where did he come from? But they come out of nowhere and just step in and step up. So when Jair was injured, these guys, where it was like between some of these guys now I can't think of his names now at safety. We can't think of his name at safety now.
You
He
talking
plays.
about
He was
Darren Sharper back in the day?
no. Currently on the roster.
Are you talking about
Um,
Darnell
you
Savage?
talking about Darnell Savage, Adrian Amos. We got Sean Davis, Vernon Scott. Who's there. But yeah, no. When I another thing I want to bring up too, David. And sorry to cut you off, but when we look at the pass rush, Quay Walker, right?
Mm-hmm.
He can also play a little bit of that pass rushing role too, because we still got
Yep.
Barnes back there who's gonna fill in some
Mm.
depth at the inside linebacker.
Harvey Barnes.
Yeah. So
Forgot it.
so whenever like Smith or I could see them using Quay Walker as like in a way like the Micah Parsons in a way, like how Dallas used Micah Parsons in a way. Inside linebacker, but we move him to the outside and have him rush the passer,
Oh,
bringing in outside blitz. And he was so good, man. He's such a good open field tackler side to side. The more tape I watched on Quay Walker, the more I began to love that pick. Even though they could have went Jermaine Johnson from Florida State. They really needed to add another pass rusher like that. But I honestly know exactly what they were doing when they got Quay Walker. The guy has a lot of potential. He's big. He's good in pass coverage. And honestly, he's versatile, right? And then also, I just think that when I look at across the board, I just think
Open.
we got all the playmakers on the
Just live.
defense in the right positions to be successful next year.
Hold on a
And
second.
I think that we're just gonna take a step up.
All
I
right.
mean, you brought it up. We're top 13 in rushing defense. I think we could be a top 10 rushing defense this year. We were top 10 in passing defense. I think we could be a top 5 in passing defense this year.
yep.
I think with the added of Rick Biasia from the Raiders in the special teams, and you brought up this kid, and we'll get to the rookie class in a little bit. Romeo Dobbs, he's a specialist, a special
Hmm.
team specialist, and that's why I say Amari Rodgers could be expendable, because if he's not, if Romeo Dobbs, proves himself better than Rodgers, he might be gone after
And
camp. So
Samari Torrey too. Samari Torrey, some of those
yeah,
guys have been getting attention in camp, or not camp, but they were in mini camps, and they were getting some attention. And I'm going, okay, this is great, but you go, okay, Rogers better be alert. So it will do one of two things. It would either send Amari out the door, which would be fine, because you know what, everybody always gives crap about, well, this guy, you drafted him and he didn't turn out well. Sometimes that happens, or it's going to force him to play better so he can still stay on this roster. So it's going to either make you or break you, because Torrey and Dobbs have gotten a lot of attention for speed and making plays, and I've been impressed so far. And we've gotten guys that have been rookies that have kind of taken some attention, put some positive attention on themselves, the Georgia boys especially, and they're taking these spots. So you go receiver wise, there's not a lot of room. I already mentioned it. Like if you look at the list of receivers we got right now on the roster, we might keep a handful, and that doesn't leave a lot of room. So Winfrey and those guys, Rogers, uh, Amari Rogers, and some of the receivers, if they don't step up and step up quick, you're gone. You're gone,
and
because
and I mean, And I mean, we could possibly still make an additional trade, right? Well,
Yep.
who knows? A late addition to training camp here for a solid wide receiver. We
Mhm.
might be able to do that. Moving forward to the draft though. They went and got the two guys from Georgia in the first round. Quay Walker with number 22, and then Devonte Wyatt at 28, and then obviously Christian Watson at number 34, who was their highest draft pick at wide receiver. I believe I'm looking it up right now. He in the, la- the he is the highest pick that they've used on a wide receiver since Javon Walker, and that was
Oh
the
God.
last first round wide receiver they took in number 20. So remember Javon Walker out of Florida State when they took him, right? And
Yeah.
then yeah, right. And so he's still not a first rounder, but he was still picked higher than Devonte Adams was, right, out of Fresno. So they obviously have some high hopes for him. And then I like the Sean Ryan pick from UCLA because
I do
that
too.
kid, even though he played tackle, he's going to be a guard in the NFL, and he's versatile. The Packers always do this. They draft these guys that are versatile that could play two positions. And even though
Yep.
like Sean Ryan had small arms for a tackle, he could be a very solid guard. I know we got Royce Newman, who's at that right guard position next to Eggleton Jenkins. We're going to move him over to right tackle, and we're going to have Royce Newman, who started 16 games last season. But there may be a battle there between him, Ryan, and Zach Tom from Wake Forest, who was another guy that they picked in the fourth round, who was a center. He started off as a center at Wake Forest, so he's a backup center, and then he can play guard. He played guard his last 2 years at Wake Forest, so we get these versatile guys, and then you got Romeo Dubes or Dobbs. I don't know
Uh,
his name.
Romeo
and I want
Dubs.
and I want to
Yeah,
say they
he's a
also
special teams guy. He's a fast burner. Kingsley Ngbari from South Carolina. He's another outside linebacker. I like him. He's gonna give you some.
that's an
He's
interesting
gonna give
pick.
you some versatility. Out of the pass rush. And then the last three guys, around 7, Tariq Carpenter, Jonathan Ford, defensive tackle to Miami, which David likes as a piece. And then you got Rasheed Walker, who's the offensive tackle, Penn State. He'll see if he can make the team. And then Samari Torrey, wide receiver out of Nebraska. We'll see if he makes the team as a special teams guy or priest or practice squad guy. Possibly he might he might turn some heads and make the roster, and make the depth chart, right? So what do you guys think about the draft? Start with you, Latrell.
The draft was very solid. At first, I thought we was going to have the receivers like in the early round. It does make sense to focus on the defense on the standpoint because you want to make sure that defense is well covered, and especially this season when we're going to be up against like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and many other teams. So now we got to come in with the players we have this season. We got to show that we meant some business. And also, we're going to try to. I'm sure you get those emails from Green Bay that said we hopefully we can go to a Super Bowl this year. That's the only thing we're looking for on the standpoint. Other than that, this draft was very solid indeed.
Well, I want to say I was kind of thinking when you're talking about Sean Ryan. Everybody said the guy from I can't think of his name. I actually can't think of his name. The guy we drafted, his name was John Runyon Jr. And they thought he had small arms too and small hands too. But guess what? John Runyon was able to go out there and be a solid offensive lineman. Now the thing is with Green Bay is Green Bay has drafted and developed offensive linemen so well that are so versatile that can play guard, center, tackle, or whatever. I like that. I love that pick because I think Green Bay is solidifying that line, and especially in depth. So if we get a situation where a guy leaves, we have that guy in line. And then, of course, the first pick, you don't even have to say, Quay Walker. You know, I remember when we got him, I thought, man, I really wanted a solid receiver in that first pick. But then you watch highlights of him and you go, and I got to see him because being a Michigan guy, I got to see him play against my team, my college team, and I went, wow, this guy is good. And you watched him step up, and he was making plays all over the place. And then we got another Georgia guy, and he's the same way, where he's solid, can really push that line, the
He was the
offensive
number two.
lineman.
He was the number two ranked, behind all the, like Mel
No,
Kiper on his big board and all of that stuff. He was number two, right, interior defensive lineman, right next to Jordan Davis, who was his teammate who went to the Eagles. So getting Devonte Wyatt was an absolute win-win. I mean, steal, like in my opinion.
no.
At 28, I look at it as this. I, I was I was critical because I thought, okay, we should probably package these first three picks, that we have, and move up and get one of the premier
Man,
guys, or first two picks and move up, and like on draft day, I was like, God, Lee, like why the hell can't we go get why can't we go get Chris Olave, or why can't we go package these picks and go get a Garrett Wilson? You know what I mean?
no.
But as I started to see the draft progress, and as those guys fell off the board, and then I looked at a guy like Skye Moore. I really love Skye Moore out of Western Michigan, and I was like, well, now the more I think about it, I'm like, well, Skye Moore, although Skye Moore is great off the line, I love Skye Moore. I think he's going to be Offensive Rookie of the Year this year, but I don't think he fit with what the Packers were looking for. I think the Packers were looking for a taller wide receiver with speed that they could develop, much like Devonte Adams, right? A guy that's 6'3",
No.
6'4", that they can develop. And I think Christian Watson was that guy. I think letting him wait to getting him in the second round is what they wanted the whole time. They got the guy they wanted the whole time. And
No.
and while adding two major defensive pieces who are going to have contributions from day one in Quay Walker and Devonte Wyatt. And then when I look at like Sean Ryan and I look at Zach Tom, I'm not going to bring up Romeo Doubs because I think they strictly got him, to take the top off the defense because we lost MVS. But I think,
Yep, that's what I think he is too.
yeah, and
Speed.
I think he's more of a special teams ace, a guy that's gonna, get down the field, make the tackle. He's a guy. I mean, like he can take it to the house anytime he gets the ball on special teams. So that's a guy that I want on the team. But when I look at like Zach Tom, when I look at the 5th round pick from the South Carolina, you had a pass rusher who probably had a higher grade than what he got picked out at. I honestly, if I had to give this grade, I would have to give it a solid like B. I'd give it a solid B, only because I think we probably could have added, instead of like going to get, Sean, like maybe Sean Ryan, and we can't go wrong with another offensive lineman. You can never have too many offensive linemen, but at number 92, we could have got another solid wide receiver, other than the kid from Nevada, and then at
I would have
number
preferred
1, Sean
maybe.
Ryan might have still been there.
I would have
So
preferred
I look at it
maybe.
as a solid B.
Yeah, I would have preferred maybe we got an end a little sooner, maybe a pass rusher a little sooner, and uh, like with um, Christian Watson, the one thing that's interesting about him is that everybody has been dogging his draft rate, and there's a guy named Deontay Johnson who plays for the Steelers, and he had a whole ton of drop passes last year. And he's been in the league for I think 2 years, 3 years, and he developed. Yeah, and he's developing. We've had this problem before, and we got guys that have kind of developed under Green Bay, and everybody always goes, well, what makes you think that this guy is going to be another guy? Because I've seen it before. Green Bay has a habit picking their receivers where you go, I've never heard of them before. Okay, and then you do some kind of research on them, and you go, okay, it's interesting. Like Donald Driver came out of nowhere, but he was he had solid hands, solid work ethic. He was just wanted to be that guy. You look at Christian Watson, he reminds me a lot of like Jordy, kind of in that way, built wise, tall, lanky, but can go up there and make those catches that maybe you need to make the catch when he needs to make the catch when it's solid game time, crunch time. He might be that guy. We're going to develop that guy. So he's got that big play mentality, or possibly will be that big play mentality. I think he will be eventually. That's future wise. As far as like Torrey and those guys, I think, like you said, he's going to be that speed guy. Now, you feel he's going to be more special teams. I think he might start out as special teams, but I think he's going to be kind of more. He's going to end up being that MVS, maybe eventually maybe a future slot guy, maybe taking Cobb's place, because Cobb I don't think has got many years in the league where he's going to be, he's going to play maybe a year or two, and eventually he's going to retire. I think he's going to be the guy. I think he's going to take that guy's place. But most of the receivers we've gotten in the past have also started on special teams. So Green Bay does these specific things, and you question it, and you go, and then you get guys like the guy you said, the South Carolina guy. When we got him, I went, oh, that's okay. I've never heard of him before, but then I did some research on some of these guys, some of the later round picks, and you go, okay, you can kind of see. You could kind of see where Green Bay's building. Like when Green Bay went and got a bunch of offensive linemen, everybody went, well, why did you do that for? Now it's paying off this year. This last year, it paid off. So
yeah, the one thing I like about that 5th round pick and Enikbare is that I think it's Enikbare. I'm sorry, Kingsley Enikbare. He was the highest drafted player of any of the edge backups. So he was a backup at South Carolina, but he had a 15.7% pass rush rate on dropbacks in 2021, which was, I believe, was top 10 in college football last season. And then it was the highest, and then it was second in the SEC, next to Will Anderson from Bama, who's projected to be probably the number 1 pick next year, possibly. And his 40 time was slow on the 40 time. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he was 4.9 on the 40 time. That's pretty much why he dropped. You gotta at least run 4.6 as an edge rusher, at least. But I think his power moves, I think his bull rush move is what's gonna set him apart out of all those out of a lot of guys that are gonna come in, as an edge rusher. I mean, speed kills, but his bull rush moves are pretty. He's gonna be able to push that pocket, in backup downs in late down situations whenever he gives the Preston Smith or Rashawn Gary a breather. But what do you guys give the grade on the Packers draft?
I'm gonna give it. I would say I'm gonna give it like B plus.
B plus.
B plus.
I was gonna
better.
do the same thing. I think we with a guy like Ekabar, I think he's a solid depth guy. I think a lot of the guys we drafted after him were solid depth guys.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the first top half of the picks, all the way up to like Sean Ryan. I think those were just like last year when we got like John Runyon Jr. and some of the offensive linemen. Those were calculated picks. And a lot of people go, well, what do you mean calculated picks? Well, calculated picks, I think Green Bay saw guys like that and went, rotation guy. We could get that guy, and he could be a rotation. He could rotate a guard, center, tackle. First two, like you said in the beginning of the show, Green Bay could have gotten a receiver, but they looked at it and they went, no. Because why? Because a lot of the guys you named maybe didn't fit what Green Bay, scheme-wise, didn't fit. The slot receiver maybe that we needed, that we thought we needed, like the guy from Ohio State. We thought we needed him, but maybe he just didn't fit. Maybe Green Bay went, he's just not worth reaching up that high for a guy, grabbing him when we could get two solid defensive guys, and then we got our guy we can develop.
Wide receiver that we already had high on the board.
Yep. So we got him, and then we got a solid offensive lineman that could be easily rotated in there and thrown in. And he might even be a starter sooner than later, because we have some injuries, that we're still kind of going, okay, is Bach going to come back right away? Is Elgin Jenkins going to come back right away? So calculated, very smart, calculated moves, and it keeps that line solid, and it keeps Aaron Rodgers back there with time. And if you
Mm-hmm.
give Aaron Rodgers time, you're going to pay for it. Because
Oh yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is a bad man.
What do you got to say, Latrell? The last words here on this
As
topic.
far as that, I think not only that Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks, but he's one of those type of quarterbacks. If he gets more time, he likes to call throwing dots. So when he see his receiver, he's just get off his hands quickly. As long that offensive line center is just right, and knowing that he's aware of, okay, my guy's got my back. I got plenty time to destroy on the field and read the defense as well. So I think it's very important to recognize that situation and capitulate that ability.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, I'm super excited. I can't wait how the offense looks like. I can't wait to have the receivers turn like. I can't wait how the defense. I'm more interesting with the defense is because of the fact when the Green Bay Packers did not focus on the offense in the first round, they focused on the defense because they feel like that's what's more important for Joe Barry as well. Because Joe Barry, everybody was just bashing Joe Barry, say, "Oh, he's garbage. He used to be part for the Detroit Lions. He's a garbage defense coordinator." When you put a man like him and get him the opportunity and run that defense like he did that last year, and I keep telling over and over and over again. I even told David like this, it's progress. Watch what it happens. It turned to a magic. That defense is stopping the run, come with the interceptions, come with the tackles, come with the interceptions, becomes where our linebackers is become amazing. And now I'm even more excited for the defense. So the offense is going to do their thing, and we're going to see how this season comes and
Yeah.
goes.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with you. I'm really excited for the defense, more or less than offense this year. And then moving forward, the next topic on the free agency shakeup before we get to their schedule. Just quick overall. I mean, they didn't do a lot of additions. They didn't have much room to make any additions. They added Sammy Watkins, Pat O'Donnell, who godly, he's a punter.
Yeah, punter for the
Who's the
Chicago Bears.
old Bears punter? We got a Bears guy, right? We got a Bears guy on our team now. He's the old Bears punter. But I don't know if is he gonna be our punter? Yeah, he is gonna be our punter this year. And so and then our departures obviously is where it hits us the most, right? Devonte Adams, Darius Smith, Lucas Patrick, Billy Turner, MVS. Who cares about Kevin King?
Didn't need those.
Those are the big additions, and then I didn't even make these slides, but if I'm not mistaken, we added Jaron Reed. We added Jaron Reed from the Chiefs as well, who should be up there on those slides as well. He should be up there as a key signing because he's going to be a key piece to the line next year. So I mean, I don't really want to harp too much on the free agency class. I mean, we didn't have much to work with. I'm gonna give it a C minus. I mean, I will see what Sammy Watkins is. I like Jaron Reed. I mean, maybe he has that Devondre Campbell. Jaron Reed hasn't really, been, the guy that we thought he was gonna be, coming out of Bama, or whatever the case is. He was, he was a second rounder. He's a veteran. He's a veteran. He's 29. But Jaron Reed's a guy that is definitely gonna come in. He's old. He was better in his younger days. As a Seahawk. He had 10 and a half sacks 1 year in 2018 out of the interior defensive line. So he's a guy that can get after the quarterback from the interior defensive line. But he's also 29. He's getting up there in years. But I think he's a guy that we can look at and we can say, okay, Jaron, we have some depth at the defensive tackle position this year, and so he adds that. Sammy Watkins injury prone, but when he's not injured, he can be a productive wide receiver. So, what do you guys think?
Well,
And that's you want me to go for us or okay? Yeah, since I already say something. I think Sammy Watkins, even though he's an injury prone, let's not forget he is a Super Bowl champion as well. So he has enough experience. He's aware, like he said that during the press conference in the locker room. I'm aware I'm an injury prone. Totally get that. But once I make that progress, watch out. So I think it's more important. Let's not forget he is a Super Bowl champion. Mm-hmm. He has played for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a veteran that we definitely need, and I'm looking forward to go out there and play his game. As far as Jerry Reed, I forgot about that man because that man used to be harassed Aaron Rodgers quite a bit.
Yeah, when he was a Seahawk. Yeah, when he was
part of the Seahawks, he was a harassment. Like he's like, I'm out to your boy real quick. I was like, damn. When his name called up, I was like, this could work.
Oh yeah, it could definitely.
Go ahead. Come in. It's
like, and I mean, we lost Billy, and the thing is, we lost Billy Turner to the Broncos. He signed with the Broncos. We also lost Shannon Sullivan, who was another backup corner. We lost him to the Vikings. He's probably going to be their nickel corner next year. Lucas Patrick was another solid. But when I look at these guys that we lost, like the only two guys that I really worry about on this list, and I don't even really worry about Zadarius Smith either. I mean, losing Zadarius Smith, Rashawn Gary made him expendable. And so the only guy I'm really worried about the departures on this list is Devonte Adams, because when I look at Lucas Patrick, when I look at Billy Turner, when I look at Shannon Sullivan, all of those guys were expendable. Royce Newman made Billy Turner expendable. The two draft we added the two draft guys. John Ryan made Billy Turner, Lucas Patrick, and Billy Turner expendable. So we can let those guys go. MVS, I mean, he really didn't have much production. And we had a lot of guys. We knew that we were gonna, get a guy like MVS in the draft. So that, it made him expendable. And so, and then when I look at Shannon Sullivan, I mean, he was with the team a few years, but at the same time, Rasul Douglas, made him expendable. So when the only guy that's not expendable is Devonte Adams, when I look at all these departures, in my opinion. And so, I just think like we lost a lot, but we also replaced some of the stuff within the draft and, getting Jaron Reed as well. Because we lost Tyler Lancaster and Kingsley Keke too. Mm-hmm. So you got to remember that. But we replaced them with Jaron Reed. We replaced them with Devontae Wyatt. You got TJ Slayton back there. You had the big kid from Miami in the 7th round. I mean, we added guys that are going to replace those guys, in my opinion. So, I just think the only guy that I'm really looking at is Devonte Adams. And, how are we going to replace that guy? And so that's the big question mark. And we'll see. We haven't gone into training camp yet, and so we'll see.
Well, yeah, we'll be in a few days.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it was basic depth. I didn't like losing Lucas Patrick and Billy Turner, obviously because of depth reasons, but it didn't bother me as much because Green Bay. I don't have to repeat this. Green Bay easily goes into drafts and develops these guys. So there's always a guy that's ready to be the guy on the offensive line. Zadarius Smith, well, guess what? Campbell came in there when you had your back problems and blew the doors off everybody, and nobody expected Campbell to even be what he was. We got him going, okay, he's got the potential to be really good. Oh, this might be a sneaky, pickup, but he highly, met those expectations and deserved getting the money he got to stay with the Packers. And then Rashawn Gary has been playing well. MVS, he's been kind of up and down, not steady. So MVS has kind of been, he was expendable because MVS wasn't going to take that leap up. He wasn't going to be, any better than he already was. The only why people even make a big deal about MVS is they're like, well, his speed. Well, guess what? We got a couple of guys in the draft that were speed receivers. And then the last thing is like Kevin King. Kevin King could go, play for, a Pee Wee football team and still be Kevin King. He sucks. So
Come
so,
on, give him in the benefit of the doubt. He had his moments.
He did have his moments.
He has moments when he did step his game. It just
he has his moments. He has his moments. It doesn't mean
consistent, but
that
he made quite a bit moments.
The thing is with Kevin King, once he started getting the injury bug a little bit, his game started to decline. And so when he started getting those knick-knack injuries, his game started to decline. He had that one good year. Godly, I forget which year it was. I think it was like
2008 is even 2018,
something like that.
I think it was 2018.
Yeah. I mean, he had a good 2-year span where he was solid, but at the same time, like I said, once he started, picking up some of those little nagging injuries. I think it was 2018 where he had a good year. When he started picking up some of those little nagging injuries, I think he started to digress a little bit. Here as a Packer. So I'm glad we got rid of him because he was getting burnt. I mean, I blamed him for losing. There's a lot of factors for losing to Tampa, but it's unacceptable for letting Scotty Miller get behind you.
Oh yeah, and I want to say about Devonte. I want to say about Devonte really quickly. Devonte Adams and I am, and we all are as Packer fans are so sick of just repeating this over and over again. If you're watching the show, Devonte Adams did not want to stay with the Packers. Everybody says so many different rumors. Oh well, he left because of this. He left because of Aaron. He left because of that. Something else. He didn't want to stay. He made it clear he wanted to play close to home with his former teammate. So nothing we would have done would have gotten him to stay. Devonte wanted to go. And does it suck? Yes, because Devonte, we all like Devonte Adams. Devonte is a phenomenal receiver. Like he will go down as a top 5 all-time great for the Packers. And we've had a lot of great receivers. But at the same time, we're not going to force somebody to go stay with a team if you're saying, hey, I can be closer to home and play for a team closer to my hometown and be with my family more often. We're not going to sit there and force you to do that. We're going to let you go.
That's just not going to happen.
We're going to get some quality draft picks for you, rebuild and say, good luck, Devonte. We love you. We'll see you back here in a couple of years. We'll see you back here when you retire, and you retire a Green Bay Packer, and you're in the Hall of Fame of the Packers.
Go ahead, Terrell.
The thing about this about Devonte, now it's all nice that we gave him a compliment, but let's go look at the fact that during the downfalls, during the playoffs, during the big games when he did not step up, I think that's what a lot of people have not mentioned, his downfalls. When he did not step up against the Buccaneers,
the Niners,
the Niners and the Buccaneers game. Yeah. And when you see when Aaron Rodgers throwing at you, but you just dropping the ball, like you can't fight, like you a big dude, you a big time receiver.
Albeit it snowed last year in that game against the Niners. I mean, we should have ran the ball a little bit better. I think he he could have played a lot better than what he did. I think the writing was on the wall there. I mean, I don't know, man. I just thought like Devonte Adams could have played better in some of these playoff games. But also, when you're the only guy that's when it's expected and the defense knows that you're gonna get the football, it's in the playoffs. I mean, the game plans are insane to stop to minimize your offense from your strengths. So when they know that he's gonna get the damn ball, 9 out of 10 times in that offense last year, it's hard to be productive when you're getting over the top single high put on you damn near every play. And so when I look at Kevin King, by the way, 2019 was his best year with us, but he's always, like I said, the knack and injuries. He had the torn labrum in his first rookie year. The end of his year, he was having a good year. His rookie season, he had the torn labrum. Then he had the hamstring injury the next year. Then, his 4th year, he had the shoulder injuries again. And he just never, when he was healthy, fully healthy, his 3rd year, we saw he was good. But then after that, the nagging injuries kind of, made him ineffective. So, good luck to Kevin King, and I hope he lands somewhere. But,
Chicago. That's what I hope. I hope he lands in Detroit. I hope he's
Don't
landing
don't
Detroit.
don't say
I'm
that.
glad. I'm
Don't
glad he's
say
not on the
that.
Packers no more.
The bum.
And I'll give Devonte Adams a shout out. I think he is going to retire a Packer. He'll always be a Packer.
The,
He had his best seasons as a Packer. He's one of the best Packer. He's probably next to Donald Driver and
the real
Antonio Freeman, the best Packer wide receiver. If he would have
Well,
stayed a couple more years, I got to give Sterling Sharp that nod too. Got to give Sterling Sharp that nod too before
I was going
Sterling.
to say because Sterling's
that
going to be in a Hall of Fame coming up. We're keeping our fingers crossed, but Sterling
Yeah,
deserves to be in a Hall of Fame. And
yeah.
I know
Sterling
everybody
deserves
just
to
sits
be in
here
the
and
Hall of
say,
Fame.
everybody just say we're
Before
Homer,
he got
but
injured, Sterling before he had the career injury was on a Hall of Fame trajectory. He was one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. But yeah, good luck to Kevin King. Good luck to Devonte Adams in Las
yep.
Vegas. But when we play you, I hope we lock you down, buddy.
the
Anyway, moving on to their schedule.
Yep.
Moving on to their schedule. We're starting out going into US Bank Stadium, guys.
Let's not be
And week
homers.
1 versus those Minnesota Vikings. Who do you
Yeah,
guys
I
got?
know. Okay, first of all, nobody be homers. We got to be solid about
Oh
this. We're
no.
not going to go undefeated. I think we split the series against Minnesota. I think we lose this one and we win the one in Green Bay. I think it's going to be close. I think Green Bay is going to
That's
kind of start out. They're going to start. Hold on a minute. They're going to start out slow because the Packers always do. We start out slow, and we're trying to figure out our offense and figure out where we're at. But I think the Packers will split against Minnesota. I just think I don't know. I don't got a good feeling about playing in Minnesota first week when that offense. I would feel better if the offense was a little bit more. We're a little bit more solid on knowing who our receivers are and who's going to kind of play that big role. But I'm yeah. So I hate to say that, but I'm not going to be a homer here. I'm going to be real. So there, there's going to be
yeah.
some upsets. You might be surprised and go, You think we're going to lose that game, but we're not going to win them all.
I got the Packers and Minnesota neck and neck this season to go after the title. And I got them the same thing that you said. I think instead of a home and home, I think they do split the series, and I think the Packers win in Minnesota because they play better there, and I think Minnesota plays better in Green Bay. So I said the same thing to Rob Haspels yesterday. So I do got the Packers winning week 1 in Minnesota.
oof, yikes. Will be a split for the Packers and Minnesota Vikings. Depends on their defense. Depends on their defense. Because I think if Green Bay comes there and start punching me in the freaking mouths, then I don't think it won't be a split series. The only split series we're going to be looking at, I'll say it's the Chicago Bears. That's what I'm looking at. I'm not too scared about the Minnesota because there's a big old question mark. I'm looking at their defense as well as their offense. So
I would say their secondary is more. Their secondary is a big question mark.
it's
In
a
my
big
opinion.
question mark because they
They
scheme
got a lot of. They got a lot. We talked about it yesterday.
open.
We talked about it yesterday. They got a lot
I'm
of
live
young
on that at the
guys.
moment.
They got a lot of young guys mixed with some older guys, and so I think it's
It's just kind of a
gonna
little
be a
different.
test for them. But
It's kind of different.
anyways, I got Minnesota winning that game. I mean, I got Green Bay winning that game in Minnesota, and then week 2, Chicago comes
Wait
to
a minute,
Lambeau.
Latrell, do you got them a win or loss?
Yeah, Latrell, you got them winning or losing?
Sorry about that. That was my
Win or
fam.
loss?
I'll say a win.
Win. Okay, and then week 2, I got Chicago coming to Lambeau. I got Green Bay winning this game. I think Green Bay sweeps Chicago and they sweep Detroit this year. So give me Green Bay winning both games against Chicago this year.
You want to go Latrell? Because this is going to be an easy one for me.
Oh yeah.
You go ahead. You seem like you ready to fire some crackers around here.
We're going to beat the brakes off Chicago this year, and that's just ends up being a homer. Chicago, their offense is atrocious. and their defense is going to be kind of question marks on here and there on holes that they've kind of try to patch up now. They've got a few defensive players that have left the building. So I think if Chicago's offensive line is as bad as it was last year, or they can't be at least decent, Green Bay is going to be all over that quarterback. They're going to be all over Justin Fields, and they won't give him time to do anything. Green Bay will go in there and beat the heck out of him.
He's going to get abused.
So we got a sweep on that one. And then week three they go to Tampa Bay. Week 3 they go to Tampa Bay, and I think this is where Green Bay gets their first loss of the year. I think it'll be a close one. I don't think they'll get blown out like they did the last time when they went to Tampa Bay, but I think it'll be a close one. I think they lose by 3 to 5 points or so in Tampa though.
Joe?
I don't know. It's like, will we lose Tampa Bay again? Yikes. I think we're going to get this W. The reason why, because I feel like, and this team has a vengeance. Every team has a kind of like a vengeance, like, we can't have this again. I think it's going to be a vengeance. It's going to be another W. Now, somewhere we're going to lose. It's going to be the New England Patriots, because that's going to be in the record season anyway. So I think we could lose the New England Patriots. But I think we'll beat Tampa Bay. By more, I'll say 3 points. 3 to 4 points more.
I agree with Izzy. I don't know. Tampa Bay, I like to say we'll go in there and beat Tampa Bay, but I just think early in the season, I think we're going to run into some kind of little issues with our offense, and I think that's just because we're trying to get it going. We're trying to figure it out. Tampa Bay, they're still relatively the pretty solid team. And then we've had a hard time playing in Florida. I don't know, something about going there, playing Tampa Bay.
Also going to California.
I've been going to California as well. Seems like we go to, we go there, or we go to Florida, and it's something happens. It's like a oddball loss. But it's not going to be against a bad team. I mean, Tampa Bay, I think we're gonna stay competitive in the game, but it's just going to be too much, and it's going to be little rookie things here and there, little things here and there on the offense that maybe aren't clicking right away, where it's a drop pass here, or I needed a third down in 10 here, third down and 5 here, where we're going to not convert, and it's going to be one of those, oh boy, here we go again kind of things. But I think that's going to get.
I think that's going to be that might be a playoff matchup down the road. And then week 4, we got the New England Patriots coming into town. I'm going to go first. I think we beat the New England Patriots. There's no way we're going to let Mac Jones. I think the New England Patriots are going to digress this season. There's no way Mac Jones beats us in Green Bay. Sorry about that, Mac.
It's like I said, we could be possibility to lose the New England Patriots, but if we end up winning, it's going to be due to the fact our defense step up in the plate and come away with takeaways, including with interceptions like Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, Russell Douglas, and let's not forget Amos and Darnell Savage.
The New England Patriots literally have nobody to throw the ball to. Nobody. If you thought the Packers situation at wide receiver was bad, New England Patriots make the Packers wide receiver core look gold. Look like
that's
gold.
True.
Okay,
that's very true.
Yeah. New England is gonna lose in Lambeau early in the year.
That's true, but at the same time, let's not forget about Belichick is one of those weird, mysterious master genius. Okay, even though I got players that don't look like they are weapons, but somewhere he a sneaky little bitch.
That's true. That's sneaky, true because nobody knew Edelman. It's true. Nobody knew about Edelman. Edelman was kind of one of those guys where you went, But I do think we can beat New England. I think we match up better against New England. I think we start to kind of pick up the pace and get a few wins.
Yeah,
coming up. I think
yeah,
Green
me
Bay
too.
Green Bay starts to kind of pick up a little momentum. We might hit a little snag down the line, and I'll tell you about that when
Yeah.
we get to that team. But I think Green Bay will go in there, and if the even if the offense doesn't play up to par, I think the defense will come in and come to play. I think the defense will get actually a couple interceptions on Mac Jones,
Hmm.
and cause maybe be the reason why Green Bay holds on to that win. It might be closer than what we expect, not because New England's a better team, because Green Bay is still going through growing pains, but we're going to have our defense step up. So it's going to be one of them like 26-20 games where you go, okay, we should have won by more, but you know, Packers, defense stepped up and was able to get a sack and a forced fumble or a interception. So.
And okay, and then so after New England, two home games, one of them in London, England, against the New York Football Giants, which is really it's a home game, but it's really an away game, early morning Sunday game, in the States at least. Do they win both of those games against both those New York teams?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can say
Yes.
that. Yeah.
I think both. I don't want to use the word mess, but just go very quickly. I'll say that the Giants are a better team than the Jets, but I think the Giants are still kind of finding their way. We don't know about Saquon, if he's going to be healthy or not, and Jones is kind of he's kind of on that teeter where he has to step up because there's a lot expected of him to be the guy, and Jones hasn't shown that yet. So, but I think he's got growing pains as well. I think Green Bay's a better team, and we're way better than the Jets. Jets are right now a rebuild. They're a rebuild. So
And then week seven we go into Washington and play the Commanders. We play the Commanders, the Washington football team. I hate that name. Who do you guys got winning that game?
you really
I'll go
want me to
first.
go?
I'll go first. I'll say they beat the Washington Commanders on the road in week 7.
You go because it's not. You're not going to be. It's not going to be something you want to hear. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Latrell.
It's abuse, man, for Washington Commanders. They're about to get abused. It's gonna get so abused. It's gonna be just as bad as Ninja Turtles 3. So it's a W for the Green Bay Packers.
I don't see it. I know you're going to be surprised, and here's why. I think Green Bay has these games where they trip up. We get into a roll and we trip up, and I don't think they're as bad as they're not a bad team. I think they're defensively they can be solid. They got Chase Young, Sweat. They're good solid players. They got Gibson, McLaurin. Some rookies that they added on to that offense pieces. I think the factor is going to be Carson Wentz, obviously, because everybody it's 50-50 on Carson Wentz. Wentz has this good games where he looks, like he could be okay or possibly be a starting quarterback. Beginning of his career, he was doing that in Philadelphia, and then these games where you kind of craps the bed and you go, eh. But I think it's a trap game. I think Green Bay somehow just loses that game. It's going to be one of them unexpected losses where you go, okay, what happened? How did that happen? And it's in Washington. I think Green Bay traveling. They're going to look ahead to Buffalo. Buffalo's coming up, and then they got two solid teams. Well, another solid team in Dallas coming up. So, yeah, I think they unfortunately trip up, but I think they'll rebound. They'll eventually rebound. But
All right. And then they go into Buffalo, and I think this is where they take their first loss out of the they go on they had a 4-game win streak after the loss against Tampa, and then they go into Buffalo and they lose to Buffalo, who I think Buffalo could probably go 16-1 in my opinion, or 15-2 this year, and they are going to have the MVP of the league in Josh Allen this year. But Green Bay loses to Buffalo. I don't know if it's going to be. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think it'll be a competitive game. But I think Buffalo's defense is really good, and I think Josh Allen is really good, obviously.
yeah,
And
What?
we got to play our old nemesis,
what's
Stephon
respect?
Diggs. And
Wait a minute.
I just think that Buffalo is the better team overall than Green Bay. They win. I don't think it'll be a blowout or anything like that. I think it'll be a competitive game, a close game, but I think Buffalo wins this game at home.
Well, it depends on the Buffalo's receiver core. Like, what they have in their receiver core.
I mean, they got a better number one than we do. I mean, I'll say that. I mean, we don't even have like a true number one in my opinion. When I look at the Buffalo Bills, wide receiver core, excuse me, they got Stephon Diggs, who's the number one. You got Gabriel Davis, who's a solid number two. Jamison Crowder's a solid number three. You got our old buddy Jake Kumaro, who's going to be thrown in there as a depth piece. They drafted Khalil Shakur. I mean, you got Tavon Austin, on that core. I mean, Isaiah McKenzie from Denver. I mean, they got a better wide receiver core in my opinion than the Green Bay Packers.
But they don't. What comes with that? I don't think they're going to be able to handle a secondary team. I think that's what's going to be like. What if I tell you if Jair started making those plays and then Russell Douglas and then Aaron Stokes came out of nowhere and come with the picks and then Amos and then Darnell Savage, then it's like.
Yeah, but you're expecting. You're expecting.
I'm expecting a lot more defense this season.
But I mean, but you gotta expect that. Josh Allen, he's one of the better passers, and he's probably one of the best passers in the league, and he could get it done on his legs too as well. And then they added James Cook. They got Zach Moss. They got Devin Singletary. They're gonna have a solid run game next year. They're gonna keep the Packers a little bit on their heels, and then defensively. I mean, when I look at the Bills, Greg Russo, Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, they added Von Miller, they got Tremaine Edmonds,
Vaughn is a big addition.
Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Trey White, Teron Johnson. I mean, their secondary might be better than the Packers secondary, so it's gonna be hard. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be hard for the Packers, I think, to move the ball on that defense, and for that reason alone. I think Buffalo last year has been running the ball a lot better than what they've done in recent years. And you got the MVP front runner, in my opinion, and Josh Allen with a great defense like they do. I think that's a recipe for success against a team like the Packers.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility, but
we'll see. We'll see. Who do you got winning? Packers or the Bills?
I got the Packers because I have a feeling Matt LaFleur was for that, and it's okay. I see what you guys are doing.
What about you, David?
I got, unfortunately, Buffalo. I think Buffalo does have a good, solid team. I think, there's a reason why they were a playoff team last year. They play well, and they're yeah. Oh yeah, they were one of the best teams in the AFC last year. So you got to give them the respect, and they're playing home. So everything you mentioned.
It's tough to play in Buffalo, period. Any time of the year, it's tough to play in Buffalo. That crowd gets wild. You got Bills Mafia going crazy. The wind kind of swirls over there. It's a tough place to play. And then week 9, if I'm not mistaken, this is week 9. We go to Detroit. This is a 3-game road stand here that we have. We go to Detroit. Who do you guys got?
Oh, easy. I have us beating Detroit. I got us sweeping the Lions this year and the Bears. I think the Lions are going to. But the thing I will say about the Lions, and I hate to give them credit, but I think the Lions are going to be more competitive this year. I think they stay in the game. I think the Lions are one of those teams where, they're St. Brown, the one we should have gotten. He's a solid slot receiver. I believe they drafted the receiver this year, didn't they?
Oh, they drafted Jameson Williams, from Alabama.
Yeah, so they drafted the receiver.
Like 20 picks to get him.
So they drafted the receiver. So they're going to have 2 pretty solid good receivers. Solid running game. Offensive line is a little bit better, so they're going to be a little bit more competitive. But it's going to be close. But I think the Packers, are still the better team overall.
What about you, Latrell?
Yeah, that's a W for the Packers. Now I'm thinking about it. It's a W. The
W
fact
for the Packers.
I still think that Detroit Lions are trying to find themselves right now because they're little, what's it called, identity fat at this point. So it's a W for the Green Bay Packers. They got a lot of question mark themselves.
And then the next week, and I got them sweeping Detroit as well. I got them beating Detroit. I think Detroit's a 6-7 win team. The same thing David said. They're going to be competitive. They're going to be in a lot of ball games. They might be able. They might, if they can learn how to win, they could win 8-9 games. But I think they're a 6-win ball club this year. And then week 10, we got the Dallas Cowboys coming into Lambeau. I talked crap to this Dallas Cowboy fan that I work with. I told him, y'all coming into Lambeau and y'all getting smoked. And I don't care what y'all talking about. That's a W for our Green Bay Packers.
Let us. Who wants to rant first? You want to go? Go ahead, LaTroy, because I got a lot to say.
I'm gonna say this. That is a W. I cannot see the Dallas Cowboys beating Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field because they're facing the man, the nightmare himself, the darkness falls, the rage, Aaron motherfucking Rodgers. He's gonna pick off that defense. He's gonna set him up.
He is the nightmare for the Dallas Cowboys. He has been a nightmare his whole career for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think he's ever lost. I don't think he's ever lost with Dak Prescott under center for the Dallas Cowboys. Even though it's a short sample size,
he is what you know. Aaron Rodgers is known as the Candyman. You heard that movie, The Candyman?
Did we knock him out the playoffs twice?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Twice already? You know?
And let me tell you something. He's got a nickname. It's called the Cowboy Killer. He's called the Cowboy Killer, okay? Aaron Rodgers is not going to let his old coach, I'm talking to you, Mike McCarthy. He ain't letting his old coach come to Green Bay with an injured prone Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, and that offense, and beat the Packers in Lambeau. I'm sorry, but McCarthy, your homecoming is gonna suck. It's gonna suck. The Cowboy Killer is in Green Bay. He's gonna remember why Aaron Rodgers is a pain in the ass to deal with. Take Green Bay. It's going to be close because Dallas will be competitive. I'm not going to call it a blowout.
They will be competitive, but I think Prescott is going to struggle against the secondary team due to the fact he's got to be aware. Okay, there's Eric Stokes right there. I can't throw in there. There's Jair right there. I can't throw it. If I try and throw there, it's going to be Mr. Campbell going to come with the interception because let's not forget about it. Some of our linebackers are like spy gauges. Like they spy. They pick at you to see like, oh, you going to throw that middle? I can't wait. We're going to pretend that we're going to rush and then we're going to drop back and come in there with the interceptions. As far as Darnell Savage and Amos, they're going to be watching him if he trying to throw a deep pass. Not going to happen.
I got them beating the Cowboys at home, and then week 11, the Tennessee Titans come into town, and they probably have they're another team that doesn't have any wide receivers to throw to. It's going to be all Derrick Henry. They come into town in the Lambeau, and we showed last year that we can beat them even if they give them the ball to Derrick Henry a million times or try to give it to him. I got the Green Bay Packers winning that game at home as well against Tennessee.
Oh yeah, most definitely. The last time we played the Tennessee Titans, when Dan Harry trying to run that middle, he got his wheels pop off. Like, nope, not today, buddy. You may do that to other teams, but we're stopping your wheels. We're popping your brakes. It ain't gonna happen. Your credit card just got declined.
I agree. I think all they have is a running game, but no receivers. And I've always questioned Tennessee's quarterback situation. So they're going to try to run the ball a lot, but sorry, that won't be enough. Packers with the win. Packers win two straight.
Two straight at home. At home. And then the next the next game they go into Philly and play Philly. I think that's week 13. That's week yeah, week 13, if I'm not mistaken. They go into Philly.
So,
They got a late bye. They got a week 15 bye, week 14 bye. I think it was 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11. This is week 12 right here. They go into Philly, so they have a week 14 bye. So it's a real late bye, which is needed, right? Because they need, they're gonna
Yep.
need that to rest up for the last 4 games of the season. So who do you guys got winning against Philly? I got them beating Philly in Philly. It's going to be a close one, though. I think it'll be a lot closer. I think Jalen Hurts is going to remember that baptism that he got 2 years ago against Green Bay when they thrust him in the fire. But I think he knows that he's got a better team this year, a way better defense, and it's going to be a real close game. I'd say Green Bay wins by a field goal, but this could go either way. This can go either way. I think Philly. I wouldn't be
I
surprised
agree.
if they won this game at home. So but give me Green Bay. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Give me Green Bay on the road against Philly.
we'll see. I'm gonna say due to the progress the Green Bay Packers offense, the defense gonna definitely stand out. But as far as our offense, I'm gonna say for the Green Bay Packers and the Eagles, it's gonna be 21-13 Eagles. Green Bay win.
Yeah, for me, I'm split on it because see, I think it could be one of those trap games. Philadelphia can play really good on defense, but I'm not a Jalen Hurts guy. I don't believe in Jalen Hurts. I don't believe he's that quarterback. I kind of believe he's a low grade, you know, low grade Michael Vick. I mean, I don't believe in him. I'm not a solid belief. So um, I got them winning, but I think it could go either way. I think they could possibly lose just because it could be one of them trap games where, again, you're going into games where coming up you play Chicago, you play the Rams coming up, you have to go to Miami to play the Dolphins in Miami. Miami might seem like a team that you should be able to beat, but it's one of them kind of games too. So it's like, and then you got, like I said before that, you got an arch rival, and then you got the defending Super Bowl champ. So,
Right.
uh, I think we'll beat them, but if we lose, like you said, Izzy, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Just because trap games happen in between there where you
I,
just
I,
go,
I, I wouldn't say it's much of a trap game. I would just say that Philly's good. Philly's going to be a good. They're going to be a 12. In my opinion, they're going to be 11. They're going to be a 12-win ball club in my book. I think they win 12 games this year. I think they win the NFC East this year, but I just think defensively they're really good. They're going to get after it. I think they're solid against the run. They're solid against the pass. And then offensively, they added AJ Brown. They got a good run defense, run offense already. They got weapons on offense. Jalen Hurts. The straw that's going to stir the drink for the Philadelphia Eagles is Jalen Hurts. And you're right. He's the odd, and we've seen nothing but improvement. Year after year. Small sample size. I mean, really, last year was kind of Jalen Hurts' rookie season in a way. In my opinion, it was because he came on halfway through his rookie season, starting like the last few games or whatever. So last year was the learning curve for him. But I think if he improves as a passer, they'll be much better. I got Green Bay winning in Philly, and then week 13. They play. Chicago comes into town before the bye. We go to Chicago before the bye week. I got them beating the Bears. I got them sweeping the Bears. I don't even think we can even elaborate on this. Yeah, I think it's a sweep. We sweep them anyways, and then they go into a week 14 bye. Get some rest before they come back home, or they stay home and they play the Los Angeles Rams, which could end up being an NFC Championship preview here, possibly, or a playoff matchup, divisional round playoff matchup here with the Rams. Who do you guys got with the Rams coming into town?
Oof.
I got the Packers beating them in a close game. I think you
We play
know,
good against
game
the Rams.
yeah, we played good against the Rams. It's going to be one of them up and down games where the Packers, maybe we're. I mean, I'm not saying Green Bay is a bad team, but we're gonna maybe go in as the underdog in that game, and I think
We will.
Green Bay will have the home field advantage and have they'll be clicking by then. Green Bay will be clicking. They'll be clicking the Dallas game maybe before that, and I think Green Bay will start to kind of put together some wins. I don't see Green Bay losing possibly maybe one more, but I'm not sure. But um, Green Bay wins in a close one. It's going to be something like it's going to be high scoring. I think it's going to be something like 31 to 27, something like that. Green Bay will find a way to
Green Bay
pull it
wins it.
off.
What about you, Latrell?
I think it's going to be a battle between the Green Bay Packers versus the LA Rams. It's going to be, I would say, Rams 17, Green Bay Packers 19. So it's going to be like in that battle. So
It's gonna be a close one. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a close game too. I think Green Bay squeaks that one out. I think they get their 12th win against LA. They play them. They play them. They play that team well. And a lot of people would probably disagree, but I think Green Bay gets that one at home. And then week week 16, they play the Miami Dolphins. They go to Miami week 16 and play the
Oh,
Miami
that's too
Dolphins.
easy.
No, this
That
ain't easy for me. This is a loss in my opinion. I think that they lose to the Miami Dolphins late in the year on the road. And this is like a thing what we said earlier. Every time they go to like Florida or they go to California, they kind of lose. They kind of lose it. This is a trap game too. This is a trap game in my opinion. I don't think Miami's going to be a bad team. They're going to be a good team, but I think Green Bay is going to. At this point in the season, they're probably a better team than Miami, and they lose this game to Miami in Miami. So give me Miami winning this game.
Latrell, you want to go or you want me to go?
Go ahead,
well,
David.
after you, sir.
Okay, so here's the stats for you. Green Bay in the last 6 meetings in Miami are 2-4. In Miami, playing in Florida against the Dolphins, 2-4. And the last time we won was like by a whopping score, 27-24. We won by 3 points. I think it's a trap game. I when I looked at the schedule and first looked at it, I went, I don't like this game. The only thing that kind of makes me wary about it is Miami's quarterback situation. But I think it's going to be one of those games where Green Bay goes in there and unfortunately takes a loss. It's going to be one of them uh, loopy games where Green Bay scores 13 points and Miami ends up winning like 24-13 or something like that, or maybe closer than that. And you go, okay, that was a bit odd. Green Bay's offense was a little stagnant after being kind of on a roll for a while. So unfortunately, I got the Dolphins winning this one in a really weak game played by the Packers. So go ahead, Latrell.
Woo. Jeez. Oh, guys, my head hurts. Y'all gave me the headache. You read the poster like my movie parents. Okay. I would say it could be a trap game. I say it's up for grabs 50-50. 50-50 possibility Green Bay Packers win this game. 50-50 they could lose this game. So if I had to pick, since both of y'all got the two L's for the Packers, I'm gonna give Green Bay a W.
Green Bay W. And then the last two games, they're at home. They play Minnesota. They got Minnesota coming into town and Detroit. How do you guys got this shaking out? I'll tell you just before you guys go. I'll tell you how this shakes out. They lose to Minnesota, and then they beat Detroit, and that gives them 13 wins. Minnesota only wins 12 wins. They only get the 12 wins. So Minnesota's hoping that Detroit beats Green Bay in the last game of the season to possibly get a tie to win the NFC North. Just like I said, one of those teams, that's what I told Rob, one of those teams is going to be 12 wins, one of those teams is going to be 13, and then possibly, depending on how that Rams game goes, they could lose that Rams game. That could be a close game that they lose. There's some close games that they have on the schedule that they could lose where Green Bay could be a 12-win ball club and might, be tied with the Minnesota Vikings at the end of the year. I got them winning 13 games. I got them going 13-4, winning the division again. And they're gonna have the better division record because I think Minnesota splits with Detroit and they split with Green Bay, so they have the better division record and overall record as well for Green Bay.
Want me to go?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I'll make this simple. I think Minnesota Green Bay are close at this towards the end of the season, kind of like in a situation you said, Izzy. But I think it's the opposite. I think Minnesota needs to beat Green Bay in Green Bay, but can't. So in that last week, they hope pulls it off because they're going to be neck and neck in that division. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, Green Bay beats Detroit. It might be a closer game than what we think, because Detroit will try to get those
Last few wins of
so
the year
last
to
few wins to kind of make themselves look a little bit better and have a
well,
little
get momentum into the
morale
next
next
year.
season. Yep, some morale to go into the next season. And I think they go in and they beat both of them, and Minnesota does end up with one less win. Green Bay wins the division, but Minnesota and Green Bay both go to the playoffs.
Oh yeah, and I said the same thing yesterday. I said Minnesota's gonna win 12 games. They're gonna go 12-5, and Green Bay is gonna go 13-4. Or you can flip it and say the opposite. But I'm going with this scenario, and I got Green Bay winning the division, but Minnesota's still going to the playoffs. What do you think, Latrell?
I'm gonna say the same. As much I put a thought to it right now, because as I was thinking about, I'm saying it's gonna be the same.
Same thing. Yeah, so he's
Yeah, I'm just gonna be on the
got
board.
them. Yeah, it's gonna be Green Bay is gonna be like a 13-win ball club, and Minnesota's gonna be right there.
Pretty
They're gonna be
much.
neck and neck all season. There's gonna be a point in the season where I think Minnesota might have a better record than Green Bay, but they lose. It's gonna be neck and neck all season long. It's gonna be neck and neck. I think going into that last game, they might be tied. I mean, the last week of the season, they might be tied. So who knows? But anything goes. So I got Green Bay winning the division at 13-4 again. And yeah, like I said, man, this has been a wrap, man. This has been a show, man. This has been a great show. I love having you guys on talking Packer football with the Packers with my Packer buddies here. And so everybody go ahead, click like and share the podcast. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, and definitely go like and share our Prime Sports World YouTube, Facebook page. We put the show on there, and if you missed us, you can go to any of those sites. You can go to any of those outlets and catch the show. We went on for a little longer than what we should, but anyways, it was all good football talk. And then also, if you guys are looking for consistent content, Prime Sports World is the place to be. We go live 5 to 6 times a week, so don't miss us as we go live. And then tomorrow we will probably be kicking off. Not probably, we will be kicking off our college football showdown series with so you don't want to miss that here with me and Matt James, and possibly TJ might be joining us later in the evening for that show, so you don't want to miss that content. But anyways, we are Prime Sports World. Thanks to Trell for joining us. David just left. Thank you, David Henderson, for joining us. And at Prime Sports World, I don't know if you know this, Latrell, but at Prime Sports World, man, we bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen, 24/7, bringing the heat. And go like our NBA Supreme Facebook page and our NFL Supreme Facebook page, as well as we bringing the heat on those pages as well. And like I said, guys, you guys have a nice night, and we'll see you tomorrow, man. Holla back, guys.
You too.